If you have ever had the problem of your feet hurting or falling asleep when you ride, then this video is going to be super helpful for you. What I want to talk about in this video is several of the main reasons why this happens, and I'm going to give you a little tool that can help, as well as an exercise to help. So let's jump right in. What actually happens when our feet fall asleep is that there's something that is causing a lack of circulation to the nerves. So this is usually a change in blood flow that's caused by uneven pressure when we're talking about the foot in the stirrup that affects the nerves, and we get this sensation. Now, if you're having pain, this can also be caused by uneven pressure and by pressure that's putting too much in one location. However, of course, there's other things. There's injuries, there's the fit of your shoes that could be causing pain. So remember that this might not be every single cause, but we're going to cover the main ones. So in riding, what often happens when someone's foot is falling asleep or when they're having pain on one side or the other is simply because of a lack of even pressure. So riders will often do, I'm going to go ahead and take your foot out of the stirrup here. Riders will often either put too much weight on the inside of the stirrup by pronating the foot. So by pushing the foot out like this often happens with trying to get the heels down and push the stirrups out. Or a rider will do what's called supinating the foot, which puts too much pressure on the outside by rolling the ankle out. And this can happen if a rider has been told to wrap their legs around the horse and is trying to hug the horse with their legs. So if I go ahead and put your foot back in the stirrup here, and then go ahead and demonstrate that. So if you were to put too much pressure on the inside, exactly. So see here, Molly has pushed into her heel. It's put a lot of weight on the inside of the foot. And with a lot of time, that would probably be uncomfortable, right? Now go ahead and demonstrate the other. So if you were to put too much weight on the outside of the foot, trying to wrap her leg around the horse, that also can create a lot of tension and sometimes pain or discomfort in the ankle because it has this rolling effect on the ankle, and it puts too much weight here on the outside. So of course what we want to have is level, where you've got weight that is evenly across your foot, evenly distributed across the bottom. But when we have old patterns and we're accustomed to doing certain movements, as soon as our foot hits the stirrup, that can be easier said than done. So what I want to do is first share something to kind of start with, and that is making sure, I'm going to take your foot out again, making sure that when your stirrup is just hanging, that it hangs level. So sometimes some saddles, this I've seen most often on those really wide horses, and if a rider with shorter legs is riding a really wide horse, so the stirrup is shorter, and because of the horse's barrel, we'll end up with the stirrup kind of on this angle as it's just hanging. So if you see that when your stirrup is just hanging, it's on an angle, shimming the stirrup with a little piece of wood, like a little wood shim, or with a piece of foam, and we'll link to one of our horse class instructors actually makes these little stirrup shims out of foam that you can put on so that when your stirrup is hanging, it's level. So Molly and Catfish's stirrup here is level as it's hanging. So I'm going to go ahead and put your foot back in the stirrup, and I'm going to show you a little reset to help find this even weight if you notice that you are pronating or supinating and putting more pressure on one side or the other of your foot. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to slightly lift your foot out of the stirrup and then just let your weight settle back down. So just, lift it up. Try to lift it as evenly as possible. And then let your foot settle. Nice. And do that a few times, and each time that you let it settle down, think about just letting the weight of your leg settle, not pushing into the heel, but just really feeling this evenness there across your foot. We'll link to some other resources that we have It's also really important to be aware of where the stirrup is on your foot. The stirrup should actually be slightly behind the ball of your foot, not directly under the ball of your foot. And we'll link to another video of exactly why that's important. Go ahead and do that one more time. Just lift your foot up and let it settle back down. Lift it up and settle, thinking right here without the heel. Lift it one more time and settle just there. Nice. One more time. Up and settle right there without, feel how you're kind of pushing into your heel as you go down. Think about just letting it settle right on. Nice. Good. And then to lengthen your leg, think more about lengthening from here. Yes. And that will give you this weight in the back of your leg and in your heel without that little extra push at the end. So try that one more time. Lift and settle your foot down. Nice, much better. So here you can see this is just a simple exercise to reset your foot in the stirrup. One more little thing, I talked about the shims because they set you up for success. Have a pair of boots that has the heel for safety, but that is flat in the bottom and that doesn't have too much bracing that creates kind of a low-high heel. So you want to have a boot that is flat on the foot surface and just has the heel for safety. Okay, so we looked at the stirrup. Is the stirrup hanging straight? And then we did this little exercise for just lifting the foot and resettling it in the stirrup to find this even weight and to be aware of any little habits that you have of maybe starting to push one direction or the other as soon as your foot hits the stirrup. It's one of those super interesting things because the stirrup will act as a trigger for that unconscious habit. And you have to really slow down and do a little small movement like this to start to become aware of that. So if you've been having the issue of your feet falling asleep, of losing sensation in the stirrups, or having pain in your feet or even in your ankle, give these two things a try. Look at the position of the stirrup, make sure it's even, try this little resettling, and this is something you can do many times throughout your ride. If you start to notice that discomfort happening, stop. Instead of just going through it, stop, let your foot out of the stirrup for a moment, move your foot, move your ankle, and then when you put it back in, do this little exercise several times to find where you can have that even weight across the bottom of your foot. Now, I have a little bonus exercise for you in my book, Stay in the Saddle. It's called Squishy Stirrup, and it's an exercise where I take an ace bandage or something similar and I wrap it around the bottom of the stirrup to create this squishy bottom to the stirrup, and it helps to really make you aware of how much pressure you're putting on the stirrup and if you're pushing too hard onto the stirrup as you're riding. Again, we want our leg to be hanging on the stirrup. We want that weight of our leg to be on the stirrup. We don't want to be bracing and pushing against it. Not only does this limit our movement, it limits the horse's movement, and it can make our feet fall asleep. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you found this helpful, and be sure to go to horseclass.com for many more resources just like this one. If you want to be a balanced, confident rider, but don't know what to practice and are tired of making aimless circles around the arena, then use Stay in the Saddle. 67 exercises for horse and rider to create an effective training plan for you and your horse, because every ride counts. Just hit the button below to get signed up and to get your copy.